Have you ever felt the weight of betrayal? Not the kind that comes from strangers, but the one that grows inside your own home, when the blow comes from the very people you protected the most, when the silence at the dinner table says more than any word ever could. I found out what that felt like on a Saturday afternoon. The sun still touched the living room windows, and the clock read 4:30. I was coming back from the office, tired but satisfied. Another deal closed, another step toward my family's security, or at least that's what I thought. I took off my jacket, set my keys on the counter, and that's when I heard it. Laughter, low, contained, but filled with something I couldn't name right away. I walked to the backyard, and what I saw out there changed everything. My name is James Miller. For 35 years, I dedicated every hour of my life to building what I called my legacy. I worked, negotiated, lost nights, friends, and little by little, I traded the sound of laughter for reports and spreadsheets. All of it for them, my wife, my two sons, the people I would have given everything for, and did. But that afternoon, I realized that everything didn't mean the same anymore. My sons told me I was good for nothing. Those were the words, cold, sharp, said with the kind of contempt only someone you once loved deeply could show. The talk started light, about the company, succession, the future, but it ended like a sentence. They wanted my place. They wanted what I built. And the worst part, they thought they had the right to it. In that moment, it felt like the ground opened beneath my feet, like all those years of effort had turned to dust. I looked at them and didn't see my sons. I saw two strangers wearing the pride that used to be mine, and then I remembered the sleepless nights, the birthdays I missed, the promises I made to myself and never kept. The first time my son called me Dad, and all the other times he only called me boss. For so long, I believed work sustained love. But love doesn't survive the time you don't live together. Love needs presence. And I only ever showed up in contracts, never in hugs. Before you call me a bitter old man, let me tell you who I was. I was the one who woke up before sunrise to make sure nothing was missing. The one who gave up trips, parties, dreams. I built their opportunities with the sweat of my own exhaustion. I paid for school, college, cars, but I never bought time to watch them grow. For years, I was the husband who thought love was measured in bills paid and comfort provided. I never realized that she, Emily, my wife, didn't want comfort. She wanted breakfast together. She wanted Sundays without the phone ringing. She wanted the man she met before the suit, before the goals, before the empire. And when the empire was finally built, there was no one left to share the throne. That night, after they left, I stayed alone in the living room. The lights were off. The sound of the clock was the only thing filling the air. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Each second seemed to mock me. That's when I understood something it took me 60 years to see. Time is the only investment that never pays dividends. But I also realized something else. That age isn't the same as weakness, and that the beauty of being underestimated is that no one sees the strike coming. Something inside me shifted. The man who built the empire died that night, and someone new was born. Someone who no longer needed to prove anything, but needed to free himself from everything. They thought I wouldn't notice, that I was too old to react. But what they didn't know is that I had been watching for a long time, and that the safe they wanted to open was the one where I kept all my secrets. I started slowly, reviewing papers, contracts, old conversations. I met with my old partners, my accountants, my lawyers. The empire had been built with my hands, and no one would take it without my permission. But it wasn't just about money. It was something bigger. I wanted them to learn the value of time, to understand what took me so long to realize, that no fortune is worth the loss of a loving gaze. So I made a plan. Quiet, calculated, and silent. I transferred part of my wealth to charity foundations, another part to former employees who had never stopped believing in me. And the company? I left it in the hands of those who worked with purpose, not inheritance. They knew nothing. Until the day the will was read. It was a cold morning. Gray skies, heavy air, thick with expectation. Everyone was there, my sons, my ex-wife, lawyers, onlookers. When the document was opened, silence cut through the room like a blade. The lawyer read in a firm voice, "I declare that I leave my inheritance not to those who share my blood, but to those who share the value of time." My sons froze. Emily just lowered her head. And in that moment I understood I wasn't getting revenge. I was setting myself free. They cried, shouted, called me insane. But I no longer listened with my ears. I listened with my heart, and my heart was finally at peace. Today, I live in a small house by the ocean. No luxury, no status, but with something priceless. Silence, a light, calm silence that doesn't weigh. Sometimes I get letters, one of them from my youngest son, Michael. "Dad, now I understand. I wasted too much time too." I keep that letter in my safe, the only one that still matters, not made of metal or gold, but of memories. Because I learned that true legacy isn't what you leave in banks. It's what you leave in people. Money builds empires, but time builds regrets or stories. And it's up to each of us to choose which one we leave behind. If there's one thing I want you to take from this story, it's this. Don't wait for time to teach you what love has been trying to show you all along. No achievement is worth the absence of those you love. No profit makes up for the hug you never gave. Time is the only investment that doesn't allow reinvestment. And when it runs out, no balance can pay for regret. So if tonight someone's sitting at your table, look into their eyes, listen slowly, live with presence. Because the clock never warns you when it's charging interest. And this was the true story of a father who built an empire and lost his family. But in the end, learned the most valuable lesson of all, that love is the only treasure time can never steal.